In this lesson, we're going to learn about polymerization reactions. So first we need to talk about polymers, which are large molecules that are created from many smaller units. So the small units are called monomers, and the word poly just means many. So when many monomers are put together, we end up with a polymer. The polymers can be formed through either an addition reaction or a condensation reaction, and then we would have multiple of those as more and more monomers are added to make the monomer larger. They can be natural, so they can be made in our cells, or synthetic, something that we make as humans. This is an example of a polymer, so we can see that there are many parts of this molecule that are the same unit that keeps repeating over and over. So the monomer is kind of like a paper clip, and then when we attach multiple monomers together, we end up with a polymer. So each time we add a monomer or a paper clip, our polymer gets larger, and each of those additions would be one of the reactions happening. So we have multiple additions or condensation reactions happening as we build a polymer. This here is starch, which is multiple monomers of glucose which are added together. In this example of a polymer, we actually see that we have two different monomer units that continue attaching. So we have first the one monomer, then the other one. First monomer, second monomer, and that would keep repeating here in this polymer. In addition polymerization, we have alkenes as the monomers, and they are joined through multiple addition reactions. So for example, I can have ethene, so eth meaning two carbons and ene meaning I have a double bond. So I can add two ethene molecules together. And just like an addition reaction, this bond is going to be broken. And so is this one. And then that means that each of these carbons now needs to have another bond. And so these are going to bond to one another. And then we can add another ethene, and then our polymer grows, and this continues to happen, and the polymer grows larger and larger. So we can just show N to represent that we have multiple units of ethene that are going to combine to make polyethene. And so we just show these dots at the beginning and the end to show that our unit is continuing to repeat. The other thing we sometimes do is draw square brackets around our monomer and then have the dots at the end to show that that is a repeating unit that happens. So when we name our polymers here, ethene is the monomer, and then we just put poly in front of that to signify that that is continuing on and on. Now here, even though this is called polyethene, ene meaning double bond, there are no double bonds here, so we have many units of ethene that have been added together, and because they're undergoing addition reactions, the double bond is actually being broken over here so that monomer units can bond to one another. So a couple examples of addition polymerization. So polystyrene is made of monomer units, and over here we can see that we have CH2CH and a benzene, and then CH2CH and a benzene. So we can see a repeating unit happening here. So styrene is CH2 double bonded to CH bonded to a benzene. So if this were to move in reverse, this bond would be gone, this one would be broken as well, and then that's where that double bond in that monomer unit came from. So we use this as styrofoam containers, cups, insulation, packaging. PVC or polyvinyl chloride is another polymer that we see, and so if we look over here at the polymer, we see CH2CHCl, CH2CHCl, so we can see the repeating unit over there. So that is called vinyl chloride, This is a common name, not an IUPAC name. And then we can see we have a double bond here, which is going to break as the multiple units attach to one another. And PVC is used in construction materials, sewage pipes, medical equipment. Okay, another example of addition polymerization. So here I have two different monomer units. So I have 1,6-diaminohexane and adipic acid. And then again, once I have the 1,6-diaminohexane, and then after that would be another adipic acid. So what happens is over here, these are going to combine, and this is actually already on to condensation polymerization. So condensation polymerization is when a water molecule is removed. So a hydrogen from one of the monomers, and a hydroxide from the other are going to combine to form water, and they're going to leave, and then the two monomer units are now going to bond to one another. So this nitrogen bonds to this carbon bonds to this nitrogen would bond to a carbon, and so on. And so over here we have amide bonds that are formed and water. So for every single monomer that gets attached, there is a molecule of water that is leaving here. So here monomers have a functional group at each end when we have a condensation polymerization, so that hydroxyl and a hydrogen can combine to make water, and water is going to be removed. So it's the same as formation of esters, except it's going to happen multiple times, and so these are polyesters. So we've talked about condensation reactions, where we have two things combining to make an ester or two things combining to make an amide. So we can make polyesters or polyamides through this type of reaction as well. So here we have terephthalic acid and ethane 1,2-diol. And so here we have a water that is going to be removed, and then this carbon and this oxygen are going to combine together over here, and that is an ester linkage over there now. So here is an ester that's created, and as that continues on and on and on, that is going to be called a polyester instead of just an ester, because we have many esters combined together. So here we have 1,4-diaminobenzene and benzene 1,4-dicarboxylic acid. So we can see the water here that is going to combine to be removed, and then nitrogen is going to bond to a carbon. This hydrogen would combine, hydroxide would combine with a hydrogen from another 1,4-diaminobenzene on the other side, and then that carbon would combine or bond to a nitrogen on the other side, and that would keep repeating. And this is the polymer that is called Kevlar commonly, and that is used in Kevlar or bulletproof vests. So we can see here that an amide linkage is created here. So this would be a polyamide that is created. So some different examples of polymers that are created through condensation polymerization. Dacron, which is a type of polyester. So we have ester bonds that are created, and we can see here the repeating unit up until here, and then again that keeps repeating. So these are synthetic fibers that are used to make different fabrics for clothing and surgery. Nylon 6, this is a polyamide. So here is the structure for that, and here we have amide bonds that we see. Uses for that are tires and also synthetic fibers for rope and different types of clothing like stockings. There can be natural polymers like proteins. So those are also called polypeptides, and they are polymers made up of multiple amino acids. So there are 20 different types of amino acids that can combine. Here are an example of a couple different ones. So here's aspartic acid and phenylalanine, and out of the 20 different types of amino acids, they can get combined in many different ways. So the polymerization here is condensation. Amide bonds are formed through this, and water is removed. Polysaccharides, so these are polymers of simple sugars. So monosaccharides are what we call the monomers of the sugars. This is an example of cellulose, which is found in plants. So the polymerization here is also through condensation, and ethers are formed here. So we can see carbon bonded to an oxygen, bonded to a carbon. So here we have ethers, and water is removed in the creation of these polysaccharides. And one last one, our DNA. So here we have polymers of nucleotides. So we have a nucleotide over here, and we can see this unit and this unit here with a nucleotide that's going to bond to one on the other side, and these are going to keep repeating as we move up. So polymerization here, once again, is condensation, and water gets removed in these reactions as well.